Why is it important to tell people's stories? Well, first of all, I think that film and filmmaking in general is it's just we're in the perfect time for this. You know, anyone who's creative, who has an opportunity to create art, has the ability now to share it and to build their own audience. It's a really amazing time, and it's not going to be like this forever. When I was a kid, I always enjoyed writing stories. That was my thing. If I went on a family trip with the family, everyone in the car became a character in the story, you know, on the whole journey. And so having an opportunity as an artist to cultivate a story in truth, in the foundation of who a human being is, and share that with the world is something that we can all learn from, we can all relate to, and, you know, it's just classic, you know, filmmaking.
Our lives are often filled with worry and chaos as the media propagates one negative story after another, bringing divide and tension within topics such as politics, religion, and race relations. These stories fuel hatred and confusion while people continue to live in fear. Yet through all this negative energy, many are delivering messages of wisdom and hope, encouraging positive change, and that's something I'm aiming to do. My name is Roger Brooks, and I'm hopeful for our future, but we must be the change and not be a spectator in life, looking from the outside in. For as long as I could remember, I've been fascinated by people's stories. Stories speak to us, and since the beginning of time, the human race has prospered by passing down wisdom told through the essence of story. It's a way for people to aspire to become the hero they know they could be, seeing their higher self through the wisdom of others. What started out as a hobby has quickly turned into my life mission, and as I deliver a new guest each Sunday, I'll aim to prompt the questions you may be thinking, and through the power of listening, I'll allow the guest to speak and articulate their points of view in order to give you the headspace you need to realize your own hero's journey. We are one race. We are one people. Help spread the word about American Real, and together, let's make great stories go viral to inspire, enlighten, and empower those we love and the masses we hope to reach. Welcome to our 76th episode of American Real. This week, we are back in New York City with writer, director, and cinematographer Michael Campo. In this episode, Michael discusses the importance of reminding people they are the lead in their own life story and that it's up to each individual to uncover their passion and purpose. Michael has found purpose in his incredible film work, bringing his love of story and characters into his films. He tells us about the making of Grassroots films, the creation of CampCampo, and his latest venture, iCHOOSE, a documentary series focusing on individuals who have made radical change in their life and who drastically changed the lives of those around them. We also talk about ego, his interpretation of God, and what advice he'd give to his 20-year-old self. And speaking of advice, I listened to Gary Vee's advice about 12 months ago to start doing live videos. I cannot begin to tell you the extreme improvement it has made in my life as it relates to building my confidence, communication skills, and helping me to get to the center of who I am. Because of this, I have started a private Facebook community within American Reel we call Live Tribe, and it's made up of some incredible people from all around the world. If you'd like to join us and practice live video and feel the power it has in a safe environment, you can try it risk-free for 21 days to help you become the best version of yourself. Click on the link below and join us today. And if you're really ambitious, we also have our Inner Circle group made up of high achievers just like you. My monthly coaching call is jam-packed with information to help you build your own brand and learn from experts who I personally invite on our calls. People who are part of my inner circle that you too could connect with. Check the show notes for more information. And now, without further ado, I bring to you the amazing Michael Campo. This is American Reel. I am Roger Brooks. My guest today is writer and director Michael Campo. You have over 10 years of experience in the film industry, working on a range of products, including documentaries, shorts, and client-based branded content. You co-founded Grassroots Films, Inc. in 2006 with a focus on Christian and Catholic media, and spread your wings building CampCampo in 2016. Your work as a filmmaker has taken you around the world, earning you a variety of awards and accolades. Currently, your work led you to an ongoing documentary series focused on reminding individuals that they are the lead in their life story. A fresh look into the age-old question of who are you? Michael Campo, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Roger. Happy to be here.
So great because once I book a guest and then start doing intense research, sometimes, and you're one of the times, I find that there's a closeness, a bond that's there in our work. So as I hear and read about the things that you're all about and what you're trying to do, it's very similar to what I'm trying to do, and that's part of it is telling people stories, giving people a voice, letting them become, as you say, the lead, or as I say, the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
And where did that start for you? Why is that important to you to tell people's stories?
You know, why is it important to tell people's stories? Well, first of all, I think that film and filmmaking in general is like, it's just the perfect, we're in the perfect time for this, you know? The distribution outlets that are available to us as creatives, the time that we're in now, it's never been like this. You know, anyone who's creative, who has an opportunity to create art, has the ability now to share it and to build their own audience. It's a really amazing time, and it's not going to be like this forever. You know, so first, I just want to say that we're in an amazing time, and we really need to recognize that as creatives. Secondly, I feel that you know, when I was a kid, I always enjoyed writing stories. That was my thing. If I went on a family trip with the family, everyone in the car became a character in the story, you know, on the whole journey. So I remember very vividly, you know, taking a drive from New York down to Florida, and, you know, everyone in the car becoming characters in this story. And it's interesting, as I got older and I had an opportunity to move to the city. I lived in Brooklyn and co-founded a company with 3 other guys, one of them being my dad, called Grassroots Films. And we really felt that there was a need to tell good stories. So my faith is something that's very important to me. And having an opportunity to do like cool stuff that is still faith-based, but like stuff that I would watch, was a real, like, it was just a real honor to have that ability to do that. And all of us, you know, none of us went to film school, so we're all, you know, straight out of the heart, learned by trial and error. And so, you know, that lasted for a couple of years. We made some beautiful, beautiful films together, and then everyone started to kind of go in, you know, different directions. And so I started CampCampo, which really was just a way, I needed my name and a domain, and I couldn't get Michael Campo. So I got CampCampo.com. I thought it was easy, it would roll off the tongue. And originally it was just a portfolio page where I was including the stuff that I was doing with all the different companies that I had an opportunity to work with. And so CampCampo.com was born, and then started building my own clients and doing my own stuff. And I feel that telling people's stories as a filmmaker it's a blessing and it's an honor, because as human beings, you know, I don't know if there's any greater value than human life. And so having an opportunity as an artist to cultivate a story in truth, in the foundation of who a human being is, and share that with the world, is something that we can all learn from, we can all relate to, and you know, it's just classic, you know, filmmaking, telling good stories.
And what an honor it is to actually do it for that person, right? To see the gratification that you can make in their life by doing that story, the gratification you receive by making the story, and then all those who watch the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's incredible.
Absolutely. And it's you know, it moves, and it takes people and places to new things. I find, you know, people are very protective of who they are. You know, we all wear a lot of masks, right? Who we really are and who we tell the world we are, two different things. But as a filmmaker, as a documentary filmmaker, I have the opportunity where people take those masks off and they tell me the real deal. And it's my job to craft that into something that is relatable for a wide audience. And there's a lot of trust that goes into that, because I've worked on a lot of films. So sitting down and talking with people about serious subjects, about things that are really important, again, it's something I think we can all learn from, you know.
Fantastic. I saw last night you launched episode 9 of your weekly series, and you had a young woman on there, I believe her name was Kate.
Yep.
And she lost 100 pounds.
100 pounds.
In 19 months.
19 months.
What an incredible story.
Yeah.
And how inspirational.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started this project. It's a passion project of mine. It's called iCHOOSE. And the iCHOOSE project is about reminding people that they're the lead in their life story. That no matter what our circumstances are, no matter what we're going through, each one of us is always one choice away from bettering our circumstances forever, from changing our life. And it's a reminder that I need every day, and it's a reminder that I think a vast majority of the population needs to hear. You know, we're here today in New York City, and you can walk through Times Square, and you can see 1,000 advertisements telling you what to wear, what to look like, what's cool, what you should listen to, what you should watch on television. No one's asking you who you are. The iCHOOSE project is about asking who you are. Who are you? Who are you created to be? What is your purpose? And how to fully live that. So we started our documentary series, which, again, they're short professional films. The goal was to do 10 of them. So we put together the pilot, which is I Choose Hope, which is about a young man who triumphantly overcomes his addiction to heroin, is now married and has children and just bought a house, second baby on the way, owns his own business, you know, great guy. And the idea was to do 9 more of these. I choose forgiveness, I choose joy, I choose love, I choose life. Each one of them being similar in that they're about an individual who makes a change, a choice, and overcomes something in their life, but each one filmed differently depending on the theme of that story. Well, we shot the first one, and I really was holding on to it for a while. I didn't want to put it out until I had 3 of them ready to go. But then, the first one being about drugs and alcohol, one of Eddie's friends OD'd. And I'm not a crazy filmmaker thinking that I can change the world, although I do think we can all change the world. I said to myself, man, you know, I feel like if Eddie's friend would have seen this video, if we didn't hold it back, could things have been different? And I don't know what the answer to that is. I just know that the results of not putting it out, what happened. I don't know what would have happened if we did put it out. And so I made that decision very quickly after speaking to, you know, a couple people in my close circle, and I was like, I think we just got to put it out. So we put the film out on Facebook and put it out on Instagram at iCHOOSE series. And we just watched to see what was going to happen. And man, in like, I don't know, in like a month or so, we had hit close to 27,000 views on it, over 600 shares on Facebook alone. Excuse me. And people were just really, really moved. And then people started emailing and asking us like, hey, I want to tell my story. I want to tell my story. I want to tell my story. And so I said, man, how, you know, what's a creative way where we could cultivate the soil, engage the audience, but I don't have to bring my whole film crew to everybody to tell their stories, you know? It gets expensive, right? So we said, man, what if we just do these Facebook Lives where we could invite anyone and everyone who wants to tell their story to be a part of this community? We can talk about the choices that they've made in their life. So 9 weeks later, we're on episode 9, and last night we had Kate Hicks, who is a certified health coach, beautiful young woman, married with children, and she lost 100 pounds. 100 pounds in 19 months. I think her story is phenomenal, but again, for her it came down to this choice, you know, that she didn't want to live the life that she was living. She wanted to make a change. And I think that her story is a beautiful example of anyone who's struggling, whether it's weight or something else. Again, it comes down to this choice. Yeah. This choice to take action. You know, we have a lot of thoughts in our mind. We have a lot of ideas. They come, they go, it's amazing. But when we make the choice to take action, things change.
No doubt about it. And I had an opportunity to watch that short about Eddie, and it was moving.
Thank you.
I think for the most part, everyone today knows someone or knows of someone who has had a situation with opioids.
Yeah.
And particular heroin. But it was interesting to watch Eddie's story because he really, you could tell he was speaking from the heart, and I loved how you did it from the artistic standpoint. But he talked about where he made that choice. He didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
He was always afraid of that.
Right.
And then he went there.
Yeah.
And it was on Thanksgiving dinner that he had a serious situation, and his parents had to rush him, his mom had to rush him to the hospital.
Yeah.
That message was so strong and powerful that I know you made the right choice to put that out, because now look what happened. You said, you know, now you're in episode 9, and you could always go back, I'm sure, and do more of those Eddie type shorts.
Well, that's the goal.
Right.
The goal is, you know, I mean, I've got people lined up. I mean, I want it to be an international piece. So I have a young woman who's a Jewish woman. She's done a couple of TED Talks. I mean, she's just absolutely amazing. She's a young Jewish woman in Israel. We're going to film her, and hers ends with I choose kindness. How great is that? A young Jewish woman that we're going to film in the Middle East talking about kindness.
Yeah.
You know, I have a story now of a guy who's in Arizona. It's more of a faith and family story, but he found his 14-month-old daughter at the bottom of a pool. And he talks about this, you know, this really, really tough time in his life. But her heart had stopped for 30 minutes, and despite all medical science, she came back to him. I can't wait to tell that story, and we have a variety of stories like this that we're going to tell once we are able to, you know, hook it up and make it happen. But in the meantime, these Facebook Lives gives us an opportunity to continue building the brand and continue to build the reputation of what it is that we're trying to do here.
I love it, because then say you come out with one of those every 3 months or 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
At least now your audience is building.
Exactly.
And they'll be there to help support it and share it.
Yeah. And how important is it for people to know You know, like we're going to do one called I Choose Forgiveness. And the person that I have in mind for this is somebody who shouldn't have forgiven. It's somebody who the rest of us would say, how could you forgive? But the point of this is that to remind people that it's a choice.
Even at the worst possible extreme.
Even at the worst possible extreme, you know? And by making this choice, here's the result that we see. Here's a person who is in a terrible situation, who by all means has doesn't have to forgive. And if they didn't, we would all say, yeah, I get that. I understand. But here's that same person who made that choice to forgive. And this person's life has changed forever because of that, you know? So the I Choose series is tackling important subjects. It's really giving people an opportunity to share that success, you know, making that hard choice. That was the hardest part, because after they make the choice, everything else falls into place, you know? But I find that as human beings, we sit here and we go back and forth, weighing, should we, shouldn't we, should we, shouldn't we? If we do this, what'll happen? A lot of thinking.
Not much action.
Not much action.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, everything you're saying is what I'm living. So that's why I said when I started researching you, we're very, very similar in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of people out there like on the same wavelength, which is great. And a lot of people are taking action now, whereas before, and I think it's because we, like you said from the very beginning, we now have the platform, we now have the medium to be able to do this in a you know, somewhat cost-effective way. Yep. And it comes down to one thing, choice, and then the second being commitment, where you have to stick with it and you know, and continue to put out this great content because people are craving it. Yeah,
yeah. And I think that people who are on the fence, I think when they ask themselves the questions of why they haven't made the choice yet, I think the majority of the time it comes down to fear, you know? Whether they're afraid of what those results will be, whether they're afraid of what other people will think. I think that plays a lot into it.
Absolutely.
You know, I think that this idea of being afraid of what other people will think of you. How many people are on the planet? The people who aren't going to think good of you. Like, you have a choice. You can live in, you know, the best light that you believe people want to see, and you can try and keep that act up for a long time, or you can stay true to yourself and be who you are and let the cards fall. And the people who are with you, they're going to be with you.
That's right.
The people who are not, you don't need them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think it's this feeling, and whether it's from our upbringing or who knows what, but we feel like we have to please everyone. It's hard to say no.
I feel like that. Sure. In my film stuff,
Yep.
man, I'm crazy in the editing room. You know, I'm constantly thinking about who's going to say what about this, and if we keep that, and what if we do this, and I don't know if that's the right thing, and maybe that dialogue wasn't coming across. There's body language in this one. Like, I go crazy, you know, as an artist.
Sure.
Because I'm thinking for a wide audience that I'm trying to reach with the message. But then there comes a point where you have to say, you know, it's done. Mm-hmm. And we're moving on to the next thing.
That's right. That's right. So let's talk about, you put up a post a little bit ago, and you said, your higher power is the one you seek every day, not the one you visit once a week. Think about that. Who or what is your God? I like that.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. So faith is something that's very important to me. And recently, when I say recently, I say within the last year or so, I've made an active choice to attend Mass on Sundays, where I wasn't for a while. Excuse me. And just wanting to get back into that. I just felt this desire in my heart, felt this calling. And I'm saying to myself, man, I got to go, you know? So first I started to go on my own. Wake up nice and early when my wife and the kids are still sleeping, go on my own. Did that for a couple of weeks, a month or two goes by. Finally I got to the point where I said, all right, now we're all getting up. We're all going. Now we're all going, you know, and that's been consistent. Rain or shine, you know, snow or sun, we're going. And it's changed my life again in a really, really beautiful way. But I found myself only, you go on Sunday, and we all know people like this. We call them, what are they, Sunday Christians or Sunday Catholics, or whatever you want to call them, Sunday churchgoers. And then the rest of the week, they live their life however they live their life. I think about that a lot, and I think that, for a long time, I was aiming for something. And what I was aiming for was what I was getting. And the closer I got to what I was aiming for, the more I was realizing how unhappy I was with the choices that I was making. I was starting to lose myself. I was starting to ask myself and trying to figure out, who am I and what am I about and what do I stand for and what don't I stand for? And it was a struggle. I was sitting there thinking about what other people expect of me, what other people think of me. I was losing my voice, and I was becoming an invisible person. And that's not who God created me to be. He did not create me to be invisible. He created me for greatness. I say this all the time when I talk to other people, even on my iCHOOSE thing. I'm like, God created you for greatness. Be great. Get out there, be great. And so, yeah, I was struggling with that. And I was asking that question. Whatever you're chasing, that's your God. Not if you go to church every Sunday. It's what you're chasing every single day. For some of us, it's fame. For some of us, it's money. For some of us, it's drugs, sex, alcohol, I don't know, whatever it is. We all got skeletons in the closet. We all got our life. But whatever it is that you're chasing every single day, that's your God. Whether you go to church on Sundays or not, doesn't matter. It's what you chase every day. And so I had to change my heart. I had to change my thoughts. I had to change my aim, what I was aiming for. And the moment I started doing that, I started to become more confident with who I was, and I started to gain more of an understanding of my own personal journey and my own purpose. And my journey is my journey. Your journey is your journey. Like, it's not my job or your job to make everyone feel good all the time. Like, I have to ride, the train that I'm on. That's my train. With its ups and its downs, with its wins and its losses. That's mine. And I have to own that. And everybody, if we thought that way, I think the world would be a completely different place. I think it would be better too. But I think that, like you said, there's this wave, and it's moving in this direction. And I think that, the internet and social media and everything that's going on is a huge part of that.
Yeah. How do we help people that are in that position? They feel like they're going down the wrong path. They're just lost, invisible, as you said. Do they have to find it themselves? Is it their own timing? Or can we help speed up that process for people by just making them aware?
Well, that's a great question. I think that sometimes when we're asking ourselves that questions or when we're struggling, I think that it's very natural for us as human beings to reserve ourselves, pull back, sit down in a quiet place, and think. What I have found is that works for some people, and if it works for you, great. But what I have found is that sometimes for me, from my experience, when I do that, I get lost in my own thoughts. And if I'm not in a good state of mind, those thoughts are not very good. Right. And that could be a very, very big struggle. I find that in conversations, in talking with people, in sharing my thoughts and my ideas, and listening, really listening when other people speak to me, that's when I'm really thinking. That's when my mind is expanding. That's when I'm really growing. And so to answer your question, I think that yes, it's great for people to try and figure it out. But if you really want to learn about yourself, put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and see how you react. Then you'll see who you are. You sit in a room by yourself thinking, you can think you're Superman, but unless you're out fighting villains and figuring out your weaknesses, like it's in the vulnerability, it's in the weakness, it's in that vulnerability that we really gain strength. So I would say if it works for you, some people meditate. I'm not a big meditator. I don't know, I can never quiet my head. So for me, it's been having conversations, talking with people. That's where I find expansion, growth, change, because it gives me an opportunity to hear what I'm saying, And it also gives me an opportunity to listen to what the other person is saying. And in that, I think it gives us the ability to really figure things out.
So do you attribute this progression in your life to going back to church?
I would say that my faith is a huge part of it. Absolutely a huge part of it, without a doubt. I'm listening, I'm emphasizing listening. And in my heart, I feel that I can hear God's calling, And people ask this, well, how do you hear God, Well, God doesn't have, the way we picture God and the way God may be is two different things, right? We picture God with a beard and human like us, but God is God. So maybe God doesn't have lips, if we're all just part of God's will, and everything in this world is part of God's will, God can speak to us through anything. Think about that.
Yeah.
That is something that's pretty mind-blowing to me. He's a direct line. When people say, I'm getting a sign or I'm getting this, right? It's through people. It's through conversations. I think that God is always talking to us. Whether we're listening or not, that's up to us. If we got our headphones on all day, every day, it's really difficult to listen, But yeah, I would say that, it's a journey. I'm no saint, I'm no saint at all. I'm on the journey, man. So, but I believe that God's calling me, and I'm just trying to answer as best as I can.
Where does ego play into all this?
Ego. My dad would tell you, ego stands for easing God out. That's what he would say. It's funny that you say that. I'm thinking about that quite a bit lately because I've taken the step and I've made the choice to be a lot more vocal about my thoughts and my beliefs on my social networks, right? Whether it's iCHOOSE, CampCampo, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Where does ego play in all of that? And for me, just recently, I was speaking with somebody and somebody reminded me of the gospel of when Jesus goes out and he talks to the thousands and thousands of people. And when he's done, he goes in a quiet place to pray. He doesn't go and drink a beer and celebrate, yo, I'm Jesus, you know what I mean? It's not like that. After speaking to the people, he goes and he prays. And so I've been trying to apply that to myself quite a bit. After I have an opportunity to speak with a large audience, a small audience, one person on my iCHOOSE page, or just a conversation like we're having today, before I start thinking about how great I am, I have to remember that these are not my words, that if I am part of God's will, God's using me right now to speak to you or to speak to whoever's listening or watching, So my answer would be, if you're waiting for a sign, maybe this is it.
Incredible. Let's talk about your filmmaking.
Sure.
So you didn't go to film school. You're self-taught by the love of the art of filmmaking. And it's not easy. So for those out there who are aspiring to be filmmakers, and maybe we're on a similar path to you, and again, you and I have very similar paths because I definitely didn't go to school for any of this, and I love...
School ruins you. I'm one of those guys that doesn't even think that there'll be college in 20 years.
Oh, I'm with you.
I think people will finally catch on and say, you know what? I don't need all this debt.
Right.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I can learn what I need on YouTube.
That's right.
That's
right. But where did your action, where was your aha moment when you said, I want to do this for a living?
Man, if I could be, 100% honest with you, I can't say there was that moment. I moved to Brooklyn when I was 18 years old, and I lived in a house called the St. Francis house that my pops was running, and there was a couple of guys living in that house as well. Everybody came from different backgrounds. Most of the guys who came to that house, either had economic problems or drug and substance abuse issues, were coming out of jail, and I was, skinny little white kid coming out of Long Island, moving into Brooklyn when it wasn't cool yet. You know what I mean? So I moved into Greenpoint before like before it was cool to live in Greenpoint, you know? I mean, there was still people getting shot on the corner. And it was a very different life. You know, my parents had gotten divorced, and I lived with my mom growing up, and my dad was running this house in Brooklyn. And I turned 18, and I had to see if all the stuff she was telling me was true or not. I said, Dad, can I move in? You know? And it was, I think it was pretty intense for both of us, you know? But in moving into that house, I did not envision being there for as long as I lived there. And I didn't think that it was going to set me up or kind of the things that happened, I didn't know. I knew that I always loved storytelling. I always loved writing. In school, those were my favorite subjects. Excuse me, art, all of that stuff. But it wasn't until I moved into the house, and there was a couple of other guys, one in particular who was super interested in film. And we just kind of started off as like a group of guys running around Brooklyn with video cameras, doing funny stuff, you know? And it was cool, but then one day, you know, we were asking ourselves these questions, man, could we put our talents and skills to use to make stuff that would be more than just this? And so we did, you know? And it's been a journey because, you know, we all kind of learned together and grew together doing this art of filmmaking. And, you know, around that time, I mean, YouTube was just getting started. MySpace was almost there. Facebook, not yet, you know, definitely no Instagram. But it was like we knew that we just wanted to tell good stories that were authentic and real. You know, I think, again, talking about those masks, everybody's wearing those masks and wants to look good on camera and stuff. And like, no, we wanted the raw. We wanted the real, raw stuff. And so, so we set out to do it, you know, and then we hooked up and we just started doing stuff and just making it.
Incredible. And again, I mean, everything you're saying, so the reason I started American Real was for the very same reason. And it's in our name, American Real. We
I know, I love that.
Real stories, real people, real conversations where people could benefit from others, gain wisdom from other people's mistakes, experiences, learnings that are not bad. I mean, they're purposeful for us to progress as humans. Yeah. And to hear you say the passion first to go out on the street and film, that's awesome. Yeah. And okay, how do we turn this into something meaningful? Right. And you followed your heart. And has any of your other friends stuck with it? Yeah, the other guys, I mean, everyone kind of went their own separate ways. But yeah, from what I know, everyone's still working in film. That's really interesting. In some form or another. That's really interesting. Yeah. What's a typical day look like for you? A typical day, oh boy. Well, I'm married, and I have 3 young children, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So I always say it's a party at CampCampo. Every day's a party at CampCampo. You know, we wake up in the morning, get the kids ready for school, breakfast, get them out on the bus, and, you know, then it's social media. I think that, you know, we are now seeing the internet 2.0 with this whole social media thing between Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Twitter and all of these, you know, tools that are now available to us. There's a great opportunity here as a creative, even in business, you know, to grow through these platforms. And so I find myself in the morning really, really going on, answering people, talking to people, liking comments, responding to comments. And then... And real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you, because it's relevant here. I had a friend tell me in the very beginning of American Real, no need to comment back to people if they like your things. And I just felt this weird thing, like, no, I want, if they're taking the time to like or comment, I want to respond to them.
Oh, totally.
It's like, you're totally wasting your time. So I actually went against my gut, and I didn't do it for the longest time. Probably a good 6 months. And then one day I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm going to start commenting back, because that's what I want to do. That's what my heart's telling me to do. And he was looking at it from a time perspective, like it's a waste of your time.
Yeah.
Where I felt it's an investment back into the people that are believing in me.
Totally.
So I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I see a tremendous difference now in the growth of what we're doing just by my interaction. And
1,000%. 1,000%.
And you can validate that, because you're growing exponentially.
1,000%. I mean, I generally like talking to people. I do. I like learning from people. I like arguing with people. You know, I mean, I'm a New York guy. Like, if we disagree, like, all right, let's sit down. Let's talk about this. You know what I mean? Like, I like that stuff. So, social media, if someone's gonna leave a comment, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's engage. You know, when people give good, positive feedback, I'm like, thanks so much. You know, if they like it, I like what they liked. You know, I mean, I think it's a relationship, and we're moving into a new place in the world now. We're moving into a new time. You know, people don't call anymore; they text. You know, even loved ones. That's what we do. You know, you send your wife, your girlfriend a heart emoji sometimes, rather than saying like, "Hey, baby, I love you," or calling her and saying, "Hey, I love you." And some people will look back at the nostalgic days of how things used to be. The reality is that, you know, how things are now and how things are interpreted, it's okay. We're just changing. Things are changing. Human beings, we're changing. We're growing. And so, yeah, responding to people, super important, you know. And then, you know, as the day continues, I mean, usually I have a lot of phone calls in the morning. I get through my phone calls, and then depending on what I'm working on, it's editing or filming something new. So I have a lot of new projects that I'm now working on, and some of them require some film stuff. And then I have client-based work that I do. So, you know, CampCampo is kind of makes money where it's like I can be hired to work on someone else's project as a writer or a director or a cinematographer. Then I have my own personal projects that I'm pushing and working on, larger scale productions. But then I also see all the things that I'm learning and experimenting with on my own, how different clients of mine can benefit from that. And so, you know, we're working with a variety of individuals now where we're making professional content for them that is not what I like to refer to as the one and dones. You know, a couple of years ago, the one and dones were great. You would put out a film or a 5-minute video or 6-minute video, 10-minute video, and everyone loved it. Non-for-profits would show it. No, now it's really about quantity and consistency and keeping up. And so as things are changing and we're moving into this 2.0 internet, you know, time, your audiences need to be fed every day. Not once a month, not once a year, every day. And so we are now rolling out marketing plans with clients where we can deliver them content, you know, on a 5-week plan, on a 6-month plan, or a year plan, which gives us a really, really beautiful opportunity. And as a filmmaker and a storyteller, to really get to know people and figure out the best way to tell their story over time now, you know. And it's like, if you think about it, it's really perfect because, you know, movie sales tickets are dropping like crazy because everyone's at home watching Netflix series, right? Yeah. Or Amazon series, right? We're all into the series, or Game of Thrones, the series, you know? Right. We want to keep visiting. Once we get to know these characters, we want to spend more time with them. An hour and a half, 2 hours is not enough, you know? So you're going to see this rise where you have people are now, for years, getting so comfortable with this life, this style, this way of entertainment, that now for clients, business people, if they're not doing the same, where they're putting out content for their audience every day, it's a mistake. Yeah. They're missing the boat. And the ones that are going, in a year or two, are going to eat the other ones up, you know? So.
No, and it's, you know, it's just reminiscent of other things that have happened over time, where if you don't strike,
Yeah.
then you're going to be at a disadvantage, and
Totally.
you will be left behind.
Yeah, totally.
Whether it was with the real estate boom, you know, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the content you do for corporate clients. Is that what you were referring to? Is you'll sit down with them and put together a video, or what are you doing for them?
Yeah, so as I'm seeing things change, you know, I think there's a great opportunity for a non-for-profit organization who has a budget and was considering a 10-minute film or a 5-minute film they could show their donors or try and raise money with. I think there's a really beautiful opportunity to exercise those dollars differently. And so instead of creating just one project for somebody, I give people now this new option where we develop a marketing plan. And that marketing plan is very similar to what I would do with the larger scale productions. But what I'm finding is that I can now tell that story over time and accomplish the same goal, if not more or better. Because I'll give you an example. So a 5-week marketing plan with somebody is a great way to start, right? Somebody doesn't want to make a huge investment,
Sure.
take a ton of risk. And in that 5-week marketing plan, my goal would be to create 5 videos for them instead of 1 that tell a story over the 5 weeks before we get to the sale, you know? And I really specialize in character development as a storyteller. That's one of my my real important focuses, because I believe so strongly in character development. If we don't see ourselves on the screen, we're not connecting. If we're not connecting, we're disengaged. If we're disengaged, no one gives a shit. I'm sorry, no one cares, you know? But through this marketing plan with corporate clients, there's an opportunity here for us to tell their story over time in the course of, you know, 5 shorter videos. And then in between those 5 shorter videos, we follow up each video with messaging, whether it be Instagram posts or whether it be digital, you know, moving images or, you know, however they want to do it.
And does this work with virtually any company? So, for example, if I came to you and said, "Help American Real
blow it up. Let's blow it up." Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
do? You come up with this. You come up with this strategy.
We come up with a
Marketing plan?
5-week marketing plan. We come up with a 6-month marketing plan, maybe a year, depending on the investment. And we figure out. We sit down and we talk. If we go with like the bigger ones, like our 6-month ones, then we devise two sets of 3-month plans. Our first 3-month plan we roll out, and at the end of that we regroup to see what's working, and then we double down on what's working. And we spend the next 3 months focusing on what the audience is responding to.
But first, you have to kind of test the waters to see where you need to go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, like I said, the world is changing.
Yeah.
So your Instagram, your Facebook, you know, if it could be a realtor, it could be a lawyer. It doesn't matter. People want to know who they're doing business with. We're all like this on our phones now. This is what matters. We're in New York City right now. Go take a look at everyone in the cabs. Is anybody looking at the billboard that American Eagle just spent however many thousands of dollars? No, nobody cares. Everyone's here. So these days of looking here, like, it's over. The newspaper, it's over. The buying banners on someone's website, let's take a look at your cell phone and let's see the websites you go to. You don't go to websites. You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, you're on Snapchat. That's it. It's Web 2.0. So in my opinion, my professional opinion, a client can come to me with this idea for a one and done. But I feel a moral obligation that I have to let them know where the world is at. And I give them this other choice. Look, for the same amount of money, instead of doing one big production video where I bring my whole crew in, we spend a week, we edit for a month, and it's special effects and all. People are not wowed anymore by that.
Right.
Anyone can do a green screen.
They're wowed by natural. They're wowed by authenticity.
Natural. Authenticity. So now for me, my focus, if they choose to go in that direction, is how do we tell the story that you want to tell? How do we tell the message? And I work with them on that, because sometimes I'll see something that they don't.
Sure.
And we work together, we devise the plan, and then we execute, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Really exciting, and I could see for you and your business, huge opportunity over the
Huge.
next, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah,
whatever
yeah, yeah.
that window may
And I'm
be.
passionate about it. Like, I love it. Like, for me, it's like, ooh, well, what does the world know about you so far? What don't they know? You know,
Right.
how can we tell this? How can we craft it? And then figuring out placement is very similar to what I've done in all my documentary features, right? Because you don't just go out and open up in the first 5 minutes and you get the whole story. It's a journey. And now it's just a journey that we tell over 5 weeks or 6 months or a year. And we place certain pieces within there at certain times, just as we would in a full-length feature film. When we want to laugh or when we want to cry, we craft it, you know? And it's a very, very exciting time for people who want to take the risk, because there's no guarantee.
Sure.
But for people who want to take the risk, it's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You just mentioned passion, and that leads me to my next question. What is it like for you to be living your passion every single day?
Oh man, sometimes it's hell. Sometimes it's hell. And my wife will remind me, she's like, what are you complaining about? Like, you are living it. Like, you get to do what you want to do. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm not doing what I want to do. That's always my response. And it's like, I have to remind myself, and I have to stay grounded, and I have to stay in what I call a state of grace. I have to stay in a place of grace and gratitude. Otherwise, my head goes nuts. It goes crazy. And I feel very honored and blessed today that I have the opportunity to do what I love to do, what I believe I'm good at doing, and raise my family. You know, my family is super important to me.
That's right.
You know, and the fact that I get to, you know, I work from home. I have a home office that I built. You know, it's like 250, 300 square foot.
I like the wood on the wall.
You like that?
That's
Thank
sweet,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, how great is that? You know, if I'm in a situation where my kids are sick and they're home from school, I get to make them lunch. What a gift.
Yeah.
You know, what a gift. So I'm very grateful, but I need to remind myself and stay in that state of grace and that state of peace. You know, it's a journey. It's a choice.
What's next for you, ambition-wise? What work do you still have to accomplish that you want to?
Well, so my iCHOOSE thing, I really feel we're in the infant stages. As you saw, iCHOOSE Hope, which was Eddie's video. I mentioned to you I want to do 9 more of those on an international basis. And so I'm in the process now of raising the money, raising the funds, trying to hook up with the right producers, trying to get some sponsors to come on board for that, because I can't let it go. I just feel that there's something here. I feel like we're just tapping the surface, you know? Sure. And so, you know, we're working on creating the iCHOOSE Foundation, which is a non-for-profit organization. And the goal would be that once we've got 2 or 3 of these done, we would then use some of that money to take these films and the stars, the lead roles of these films, to schools and places where they could go, and we can talk about these subjects and do a whole tour. Oh. It could be an educational tour talking about life, talking about forgiveness, talking about love, talking about, you know, drugs and alcohol, talking about vulnerabilities, connecting with people as human beings. I think like that's what needs to be taught, you know. So I have very, very high hopes for that, and I know that we're in the infant stages, and it's just the beginning. We're moving in a direction where eventually it'll come together, but it'll come together at the right time. So if you are following the iCHOOSE series, you know, on Facebook or Instagram, we need that love, we need that support. The more that we build this community, the better it is for me to show producers and investors and other people. So, but you know, I ask that question all the time. Like, I don't know what God's got in store for me next. You know, I've got a couple of scripts that I've written, a couple of series, more fictional stuff. I mean, I love storytelling, so I think that there's stories that need to be told or themes that I want to explore, and I think that some of the best choices for these themes to be explored is through some fictional content, characters that we can love and hate, because I think that that's how we see ourselves. Like every little kid wants to be Superman.
No doubt.
So I want to create some characters.
So normally I don't do this, but you keep hitting on subjects that are personal, and I just have to express it. So the last 5 years I've been writing a novel.
Awesome.
And I've created these characters. And
I love it.
There's good and evil, and it's called The Sacred Order, and Dan Brown was my inspiration. The book's finished, I'm just putting the final touches on it. Like you said earlier, it's religious based, but it's not a religious book.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Da Vinci Code, where
Yeah,
there's a lot of underlining messages.
Yeah.
So, I just love the fact that you're talking about this, because I know you will get that stuff done and out there into the world, because it needs to. It needs to happen. It's waiting. That story's waiting to be told.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the form of a book or a movie, or whatever it may be. And lots of people have those. We all have it in us. Michael and I, our producer, we were talking on the way down. He's had a book. He's had ideas for a book.
They say everyone's got at least one book in them.
Yes. So I think it's our job to help people take that leap. We have an academy now, American Real Academy. We're teaching people how to podcast, how to do this.
Yeah.
We're teaching people how to write books.
Love it.
Because everyone has it in them.
Yeah.
Just have to give them the tools, the confidence, that brotherly, tap on the shoulder to say, you could do it. You could do it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. So I'm really happy to hear that you have that in store.
Yeah, man. I have a book it's called The Master. I've been writing this book for years. And at some point in time, when things just quiet down or calm down, I definitely want to finish it. And then I was thinking, maybe I'll just do something really creative, and even though it's not done, turn it into a series that just ends on a cliffhanger, and then just keep writing it.
Love it.
Keep writing it and self-producing it and putting it out on Amazon, so people can pick it up on their Kindle, digital only.
Yep.
So there's no cost up front, and really just tell this story and just go on this journey. I think it would be experimentational, but I think it could be cool.
Totally. That's great. Well, look, this has been great. We could sit here and talk all day. We have so much in common.
Man.
This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We have established a friendship.
Absolutely.
We will promote everything you have to our followers.
Thank you.
And can't wait to see what's in store, for you in the future. I just have a couple more quick questions. Take your time answering them, but first of all, I just wanted to thank you for making the time and the effort to be here. If you were to take out your cell phone right now, and call the 20-year-old Mike,
oof, yeah.
what would you tell him?
Whew, the 20-year-old Mike, what would I tell him?
You were at the St. Francis house, probably.
Yeah, I was. Okay. I would call him up and I would say, look, it's not always going to go as you planned, but don't worry. Have courage. Be brave. And never lose sight of who you are. Absolutely never, under no circumstances, lose sight of who you are, and that understanding of, you're being called for something great. Just go for it. Just don't be afraid. I think that's the biggest thing. I would say don't be afraid.
Yeah, and it gets me to thinking back what we were talking about earlier. Is that you mentioned it, fear. We're surrounded by fear, and it's inside our head. Yeah. When half the time there's really nothing to even fear but ourselves.
I know.
That's great advice. Last question.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you're still a young guy. You have a lot of work to do.
I had a lot of gray though coming on here. You see this? My wife was like, this morning, she was like, maybe we should dye it.
At least you have hair. What do you want your legacy to be?
What do I want my legacy to be? Roger, I want to live my life. Ultimately, man, look, the reality is I want to get to heaven. I do. And I want to take as many people with me as I can. That's my aim. That's where I'm trying to get to.
Mike Campo, it's been great. Thank you so much. Welcome to the American Real family, and we will be in touch.
Thanks, Roger. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to American Real. Be sure to visit our website, americanreal.tv, or search for us on iTunes or YouTube for past episodes. While you're there, please rate us or leave us a review, as that helps others find our show. I am truly grateful and appreciate all of your support. At American Real, we're on a mission to help as many people around the world fulfill their dreams and obtain their goals. If you'd like to be part of our inner circle or want one-on-one coaching, check out the American Real Learning Academy, where we have self-help groups and courses so you can build the best you. We also have a new Facebook group where you can connect with high achievers from around the world. If you want to go even further, maybe you're determined to write your own book or launch your own podcast, contact me today to see if we could help. You can reach me through Instagram or Facebook, or email me directly at roger@americanreal.tv. And speaking of podcasting, our next course will be starting soon. So if you're interested in launching your own podcast, join me and Podcast Your Passion. I'll take you through my 8-week course where I'll mentor you to build a world-class podcast. I'm only taking on a small group of people who want to share their passion through broadcasting, where I'll have you up on iTunes and YouTube within weeks so you can podcast your passion. Click on the link below for more information. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.